like, when we're done with the 35 minutes, I feel great. And I got the work in and moves on. So she's like, if they go too long, she's like, I feel bad because I have to stop. She doesn't want to stop like halfway through when she's all jacked up, like, it's good.
Yeah.
So
how do you think she found out about them the first time?
So I was doing them as like, so I was doing the MGDs as like a gap type thing. I was deciding on what my next program was going to be. I was like, well, I need to work out. And I hadn't made a decision yet on, you know, whether I wanted to do, I think it was kettlebell or heavy pack 45, I think it was. So I did like a week or two of the MGDs, and I was like, hey, Sarah, you need to do these. I think these will fit you perfect. And she's like, I don't know.
That's sweet.
Maybe not. She's like, I'm just going to stick with my jump roping. And then I think she walked in on me doing one and was looking at it, you know, what was happening. I was like, and I think she was like, I can do that. I can figure that out. And
that's so awesome.
That started it. And she's just loving them now. Yeah. So she found something that challenges her, you know, not some of the, I mean, because there's other stuff out there that, you know, she's done in the past, like the beach body workouts or things like that, but they're just not as hard and, you know, not as mentally challenging. And she just loved that little extra edge, I think, that the MGDs gave her.
It's pretty amazing. Like, just in the last year, how many times over and over again we've heard where someone, like the husband was a hunter and was doing preseason prep or postseason strength, and then the spouse, like usually the wife kind of asks about the MGDs and then tries one and then gets hooked on them. Yeah. Like, we've heard that so many times this year, which is pretty cool because it's kind of like creating that whole Mountain Tough family.
Right. Yeah. But I wouldn't say they're exclusive to just wives. I mean,
no, they're not.
I mean, they're hard for everybody. I mean, it's just, everybody has, like, I'm challenged by them. I mean, I think in itself, it's its own program. If you're not training to go on a hunt or whatever, like, you're going to get the same results out of doing MGDs every day as you would going through any of the other programs that you know you have. You just, when it comes to physical endurance and, you know, building up your core and your leg strength. I mean, it's phenomenal. Yeah,
the big thing I've seen is, I think it seems like there's people that love working out at home with minimal gear, and there's people that love working out with gear at a gym, or either like a robust home gym.
Right.
But the MGDs for the minimal gear population it's really cool how it's like fresh every day, and so you just can't get bored with it.
And I mean, like you mentioned, the home gym thing. Like, I used to love going to the gym because it was away, but now with the kids and everything like that, to and from the gym, and that little bit of time taken away from my family, right? And doing that. So actually having the gym at home with really no gear, like you said, like, I save that time. Yeah. Right. So like, just building up the gym, we just have the rack on the gym, on the back of the garage wall, and then, you know, just some plates, and then kettlebells, and we're using our cooler as our box, right? Our Yeti cooler as our box, and like, it works perfect.
That's pretty amazing.
And then she can do it too, right? She doesn't have to go to the gym. She goes to the Y sometimes, but like, she doesn't have to leave the house. The kids can be right there. They can be playing in the backyard while she's getting a daily in, and then just transitions to the next thing right away. Doesn't have to pick up all three kids, put them in their car seats, go off to the gym, you know, unpack them, you know, do the workout, get back. I mean, it's such a heavy lift, and you're taking so much time from doing other stuff that, you know, the work that she has to get done at the house during the day, or, you know, some of the other administrative stuff that she's doing for the boys, or, you know, her own hobbies. Like, it's great. You know, it's great to have it right there.
Yeah, I think it's great for the kids to see it too. Like, for kids to see their parents working out consistently is powerful, because then it's like a normal part of life for them at an early age. It's not this weird foreign object of like fitness. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're asking questions about it. Like, every time we work out, they're like, Daddy, why are you working out? You know, and we give them the answer, like, hey, this is part of life, right? This is what we do, you know, to stay resilient, stay strong, you know, stay healthy, you know, get energy. And they're like, okay. And then they just jump in. They just jump in. They don't understand. They're like, okay, cool, Dad. And then they just jump into it, you know, start doing squats, you know, start doing planks, the stuff that they can do. And, you know, you see that they actually get better at the stuff. My kids are young, you know, 5, 4, and 2, but like, you see their little micro improvements. I'm like, oh, they're actually doing a plank today. Yeah. Before, their hips were on the ground, they're just showing the motion, but now today, I'm like, wow, Manoa's doing a plank.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know. They pick it up fast. Mm-hmm. My family is kind of the same way, where we launched, after Mountain Tough launched MGDs, that was kind of our go-to product as a family on the weekends, because we're normally in the gym during the week for work. And then on the weekends, we'd go into our basement and do the MGD. And then my wife kind of started falling in love with them. And so she set a goal for herself where she was going to do a full month straight and not miss a single day. And then she did that, but we do homeschool. And so the kids saw her doing her MGD every morning, and they all of a sudden started asking me questions like, can I do the MGDs? I was like, heck yeah. And so then they started doing them, and then they proposed this challenge to me of, can I do MGDs to earn some cash? So,
wow. That's great.
So my daughters are 10 and 8, but my 8-year-old is like super competitive. And then my older daughter is like super into physical fitness, but she is not as competitive. Like, she doesn't have that deep competitive mindset. So I was like, yeah, girls, if you both do 10 MGDs in a row, you got to do them start to finish, top to bottom. You get $10 a day, so you'd earn $100. And immediately my younger daughter's like, sounds good, but what if I do 20 or 30 in a row?
Man,
like,
negotiating.
And I was like, oh, you kind of got me cornered there.
Yeah.
But they ended up doing their 10 in a row. And I think it's pretty cool for like families just to encourage that fitness lifestyle at an early age. Because I remember when I was a kid, like, I'd watch my dad was always super fit, but he was always doing it on his own, so we never really saw it. And so I think just being around parents that are working out in garage gyms and stuff, there's almost nothing better for these kids.
Yeah, that's wild though too, using fitness as a motivator, right? You know, and like before, like I grew up doing chores as motivators, right? Like, oh, if I do this chore, clean this toilet, like Dad's gonna give me $5 for the week, you know, and I can go see a movie or something like that, or buy baseball cards. But fitness, that's a good idea. I'll have to use it on my kids.
It's pretty crazy. So when did you kind of see the announcement for the testimonial giveaway?
So I was on the tail end of my deployment. I was in Jordan at the time, and I saw the announcement, and I dragged my feet on it because I was like, oh, that's really cool that Mountain Tough's doing that. You know, I get to see like why other people are doing Mountain Tough. I'll get to see, you know, like who else is doing it. And I'd given a testimonial way back actually before when I first started Mountain Tough in 2020 about my why, you know, and I had done it before. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it. And the deployment was so busy, and coming back, it was pretty hectic getting it done. So, and I forgot about it. And then like right towards the tail end, I was like, I had sent, at the end of my deployment, I had sent like an Instagram post, or maybe I sent some pictures to Weston, and I said, hey, like, this is the results I got from doing these programs overseas, you know, the 16-week program, and then a couple follow-on programs right after it, 6 days a week, basically working out. Hey, I just want to show you the results. And Weston's like, hey, you need to get on the testimonial. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. So one night, I think it was like a few days before the deadline, I got into the garage and I was like, hey, this is my why. This is the results I've gotten. You know, this is why Mountain Tough's been so important to me in my life since I found it. And, you know, it was, you know, a couple 30-second clips, and got the word out there, and, you know, here I am, I guess.
That's so wild. Yeah. You probably never really, going into it, you probably never really thought like, oh, I'm going to go to the Bozeman lab. And
never.
Yeah.
Never. I was like, that's just something that exists out there. You know, like I'm glad it's there. The programming's phenomenal. They just keep doing a great job with that. That's what I'm going to do. And then when Weston called, he's like, hey man, you know, you won the testimonial thing. I was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you won the testimonial. We want to bring you out here, and we want to, you know, do a workout with you. And like, and you know what? We're going to take you hunting. And I was like, hunting? He's like, yeah, bear hunting. I was like, no. I told my wife and she's like, huh? And she's like, really? She's like, I remember you doing that thing in the garage, but I didn't know like
it's kind of wild. Yeah.
So it was surreal. It really was. I feel really blessed by it. So it was really cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's kind of surreal just to like, there's some app in Montana. Yeah. And now I'm
and
flying out to see
exist.
those guys.
Yeah, those guys exist. And they actually have a gym and like they're working out daily. Like I see it happening. It's just not some dudes in a garage somewhere saying, hey, I got this cool app, you know, with this content on it. So it was good.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And when did your very first like Mountain Tough journey start?
Yeah. So it started at the beginning of COVID. Basically, I was in Germany at the time, stationed there at AFRICOM, which is Africa Command, and I had a great rhythm for working out. It was, you know, I had some good balance going. I would wake up. I didn't have good balance actually with my family at that time, but I had good balance in the gym, something that we grew from. I was waking up at like 6 a.m, driving an hour into work, hitting the gym for an hour, and then showing up at my desk, which was right across the street from the gym, at 8 o'clock. So I'd get a good hour workout in every day. And then COVID hit, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have anything at home to work out with. Gyms are closed down. And even me going into work was like on and off, like we were doing shift work. So sometimes I'd be off for 2 whole weeks before I'd go in and work 2 whole weeks. And I was like, what am I supposed to do in this time? So I was like, I got to look up some like programs where, you know, they're not using gear because I just don't want to get out and run all the time because that's an option, right? And I was like, I just don't want to be out there and run. I actually want some good programming and like where I'm going to make some gains and stay consistent with what I was doing because I was doing lifting and running, kind of a mix at the gym and at AFRICOM. And so I did some Googling and, you know, I think Mountain Tough popped up and it was like, hey, you can do this 30 for 30 program. And I was like, okay, you know, saw it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to invest in this and I see how it goes. And that's kind of what started it, you know? And so it was May of 2020, I think end of April, beginning of May of 2020 when I started the 30 for 30 program.
And you're doing it in Germany?
In Germany. Yeah. Like right along where the Black Forest was. So like our house it butted up against the Black Forest. So we were kind of down in a valley and there was this massive hill that went up into the Black Forest where they had these trails. Dang. So like on the Fridays where we're doing the packs, the heavy packs, I actually put my son Manoa in the pack, one of those like kid carrier packs, you know, and he was about 35, 40 pounds. So I threw in some extra weight so I'd be right. And I'd hike up that hill and then start doing like the lunge walks and stuff through the Black Forest in Germany.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So that was always really fun because my son loved it. Like I'd bring gummy bears along. So every like lunge set we would do, I'd hand him a gummy bear and he just was so excited. He's like, Dad, do more lunges. I guess he's like, you want more gummy bears.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so it was a great place to do it. The weather was perfect for it in May time frame, like just cool in the mornings and, just a beautiful scenery. And then we had also like all the German fields, like at the bottom of the Black Forest, it's all farm fields and everything, little towns, and you could run from farm field to farm field. And they have these paths that go through the German fields that used to be used as like tank paths during the war. And they're all paved really nice and the Germans keep them up really well.
Sweet running system.
So I do them, you know, and the Germans are super active. They get out and do it. They bike a lot. Like, so I'd be out in those paths doing those things. But during COVID, the Germans would look at me a little odd because they weren't even supposed to be out to do anything unless they were like walking a dog or something. But it was to and from your house. Like you couldn't, they were pretty strict right away.
Yeah.
So.
And then the workouts you're doing like in your apartment or house over there?
Yeah. At the house, we had a back patio. So I would do it on the back patio typically. Or I would actually do it on one of the paths in the German field. Yeah. So there was like, I remember there was a tree that I would do pull-ups on.
That's awesome.
I'd be running the sprints, right? The shuttles back and forth. And at the end of the shuttle, there was a tree where I'd actually set up and I'd do pull-ups and things like
Just
that.
on a branch?
On a branch.
That is awesome.
So it was wild, but it was great. I was seeing the results, you know. I was listening to good music on my iPod. I think it was Cutlass or something at the time. It was some crazy stuff. It was fun, yeah.
Did you see some of your other coworkers like struggle through that season without any options?
Oh, absolutely. I think in the military in general, there's some communities, depending on which community you're in, that value fitness and are very much into it. And then there's others who are, like a lot of people ride a desk now, like me. I ride a desk most of the time. It's really hard to motivate yourself to get into the gym, especially balancing your family time with, the long hours at work, just sitting all day and then getting up and be like, man, I got to move
something
now and do something. It's just, your body just kind of shuts down from it. And it's harder to get back into it unless you're doing it. So unless you really prioritize it, say, hey, I got to get up every day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, win this battle, in the morning or before I go to bed. Right. And because working out at lunch is pretty difficult, right? When you got meetings all day and you're in and out of, conversations with folks. So like actually cutting out an hour in the middle of the day is pretty challenging. So, and at the end of the day, you're tired from sitting. So that's why the morning worked for me. There was some good leadership at AFRICOM at that time when I was there. Chief Master Sergeant Colin Lopez, who's at the top, he's the highest senior enlisted leader in the military right now. He was working out with me in the gym.
Really?
And he was always motivating.
That's awesome.
He's like, hey Scott, hey, and it was like good seeing him there every day, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have leadership that's in the gym, like it makes it a lot easier for you to be like, man, they're in the gym and, they've been in the service for 30 plus years.
Yeah, they're busy guys.
They're busy guys and they're prioritizing this, right? I better be prioritizing it too. So I think there's a lot of impact you can have in your own little circle, and especially as a leader in the military, just by going to the gym and people seeing you there. And even if they don't see you, like you come from a workout, maybe you show up to work a couple minutes late, but you're like, hey, I had to get that workout in, and it's a priority, right? Because I'm better here, I'm better for you, I'm a better leader, I'm a better family man, because I prioritize that time in the morning or whenever it is for you. You have that extra energy, and you can be more present with people. Like it's night and day, the difference. Like when you're consistently working out and you feel that energy just flowing through your body every day. It just
so true. Yeah, like that saying of like a body in motion stays in motion is so accurate, where you get to a point where you're just craving that workout every single day. And then just the non-physical benefits are huge too, like the stress relief, like clearing out your thoughts in your head, coming up with ideas, like with that, like the physical mental mind-body connection. Like even recently, the more of the research every year indicates that like it is one thing, like the mind and body like is so connected. It's the same thing. Yeah,
it's same for me. Like I was having a hard time even prioritizing like my daily devotional, my quiet times in the morning or even during the day, just because I didn't have the energy when I woke up to do it. And, and once I started working out, I was like, I have this extra energy to like just even get into the word for whether it's like 10 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on the day, I was doing it rather than just not doing it. And that paid dividends as well. Like I was able to focus myself and like recharge in that way spiritually before going into the gym. Or if I missed it, before going, I'd do it right after, right? Before going into work. So I was just ready to go, like mind and body, for like tackling, work, which, is expected of you to perform at work as well. Right? So like I have that responsibility to our country and then, to my family too, right? To keep the job and, do a good job, my best in what I'm, trying to accomplish.
That discipline starts feeding off itself.
Yeah. You see it. It just rolls. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're not doing it, it's so much harder to get back into it. Right. Like anytime I get an injury, even working out, doing mountain tough stuff, I get so disappointed because like you're out for whatever the injury is. It could be a couple of weeks. Like, it takes, now it takes 2-3 weeks to get back into motion again, just feeling it and getting that ball rolling. So like I think I was talking to Weston, like we actually prefer like being sore every day or, from workouts than like the work it takes to get that ball rolling again. And like, getting your mindset back into like, hey, I got to work, because you do, like you said, you want it. Like your body just like, it's like, I need that. I've been away from this. Like it desires to get back into it because it knows better than you, I think, like I need to do this. Like, it's important for your life balance to get this stuff done. And, like the dailies, I think are great for that just because it's 35 minutes. Right? And you feel worked.
Yeah, and you can't get distracted. Just hit play and you're going.
Right. Yeah. You're watching it, and like you get a chance to even if you don't, win the workout, at least you showed up, right? Like maybe you didn't do your best because, you didn't prepare for it or whatever. You had a long day the day before, your kids are bothering you during it or whatever. Like you showed up to the gym, you didn't forfeit the day, you won that match. And like, that's kind of how I look at it. Like I was a wrestler in high school and a little bit in college. And like these workouts to me are like, they're like a wrestling match, like I can show up and at the end of the workout, I'm like, did I win that one? Yeah, I won that one. Sometimes I lose, but like if I lose, I showed up, and like I'm using that as like a learning experience and as a motivator for the next workout, right? I can make myself better tomorrow or do better if I maybe don't stay up too late, like just bumming around doing whatever, or eat a little bit healthier, right? Because we all get into our little ruts. We're like, man, maybe I had too much pizza or whatever, or ate all my kids' food because I was a little hungrier, which slow you down the next day a bit, right? Where maybe you don't finish, one of the workouts, or you're a little slower than you thought you would have been, right?
At least you got it done.
But at least you got it done, right?
Yeah.
So like you just grow from that, and you can't look at it as like, oh man, I didn't keep up with somebody or I didn't do it that well. It's like just showing up, I think, is huge for people, and you got to give yourself some grace. Yeah. Right. And that's that daily thing. That's the balance. Like you're not going to hit everything out of the park every day. You're gonna have some wins, you're gonna have some losses, but the important thing is like when you can, like you got to show up, right? Don't wake up and forfeit the match, because that's the worst thing you can do. Like knowing that you could get into that and say, I got to forfeit because I had one too many drinks last night, or I stayed up till midnight playing video games or whatever people do. Like
you got to still show up.
You got to still show up, and don't handicap yourself, going in there, because it's just, then you don't get the benefit. Then you're slow. Then you're sacrificing other things the rest of the day, like your job potentially, or when you get home from work, like being present with your kids and your wife. They need you to be there, be present, be energized. And so for me, like just the community that you guys have put together here, and like the foundation that you guys have set has helped like reinvigorate and just, I guess, fortify like what our family, believes and, is built around. Yeah. It gives us that chance to go like, hey, those guys are doing it. It might just be an app, but like
it's a community.
It's a community there, and other people are part of that community doing the same thing, and so like being engaged there. And then if it, even though you can't go to a gym that's, brick and mortar, like you're showing up, you're seeing Sarah every day on the MGD, or if you're just doing it yourself, doing one of the programs, right? You're looking at the PDF and you're like, okay, I'm getting through this, right? But you still have the community to like comment on that workout, that day, and say, and look, oh, these guys are about my age, or, about my size. Like they're getting similar times. Like that's awesome. Yeah. Right. Or you could help motivate other guys, right? That are just coming onto the program, right? Hey, I just did this. You're like, yeah, I was there, man, like a year ago. Keep at it. Right.
The community's strong.
Yeah. So that's been really fun to be a part of too. Like just plugging into those guys and people asking honest questions online. You can answer in like the Facebook group and things like that. It's been really cool.
That's so awesome. Yeah. The accountability of just knowing that there's like thousands of other mountain toughers out there doing the same workout on the same day as you. Like even though you don't see them, just knowing that they're out there, and also knowing that they're like-minded people, just like you in a different location, right, gives you a lot of like mojo to get going. Just knowing that like it is kind of like a lifestyle and a movement, and even though you might feel alone in your basement, but you're not really alone. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I think Eric asked me when he came out and visited. He's like, "Do you ever feel not motivated to come into your garage in the morning?" I was like, "Yeah, every day. Every day, it's a challenge." Because in Ohio, I mean, like here in Montana, I guess like we don't have like heating in our garage. Yeah. So I have to, it's a long winter. So I have to bundle up to get in the garage to start working out. And I put a little space heater in there, like to get the legs warmed up a little bit, but it's pretty cold, right? During the winters, and the summers can get pretty humid, but in the mornings it's right about the right temperature in the summers. But yeah, it was a long winter this year trying to get through some of them. So you're doing almost all your workouts at home now? Yeah. The last couple of years.
Yeah. For the most part. The base gym's really nice, but I just, it's too much time just to get there and back. And a lot of times I'm working from home too. Yeah. My job lets me do that. So most days, or 2 to 3 days a week, I'm working from home. So I'm right there. And even on the days I go to work, I'll still work out in my gym rather than working out in the one there. Because I'm doing the heavy pack thing right now. So I don't need to go to the gym.
Yeah.
If I was doing some of the other ones, I'd probably need to, because I don't have the plates to do some of the deadlift weights and things like that. I mean, I have the gear. I just don't have enough weight on the plates and stuff. So I'd probably have to go in to do those. But
it's nice once you get that rhythm set up at home, though.
Yep.
Like the time savings is pretty phenomenal.
Yep.
Drive time, gas, traffic. Like you can, once you get that system set up, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm feeling the same results, from doing the minimal gear stuff that I was feeling doing like the preseason stuff. I'm maybe not as strong in like my legs and things like that because I'm not lifting the heavier weights. But endurance wise and like just overall feeling of general health, like I'm there. Like it feels good.
We see that a lot. Almost like people can get more functionally fit off the minimal gear programming. Like if they're lacking baseline strength, it's nice to get them like on some gym equipment.
Right.
But someone who already has baseline strength, when they switch to like a kettlebell or heavy pack program, their functional fitness is insane. Just in terms of like they're pretty much ready for anything after they finish like KB20 or HP20. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. They've been good. And that's all I need, right? Something to throw my kids up in the air. Right? That type of functional fitness without throwing out my back or like twisting an ankle or something like that. So, but yeah, it's been good. And so that's why I think I'll stay for a while, probably just working out of my gym until I want to do something heavier and see if I want to make any more, gains in those areas. But
yeah, it's cool. Bert Soren was telling us that there's a theory called the fortress theory, and it's super helpful. And we've been using it a lot around here now. It's it's cool seeing it spread with like our head of operations, Chris, latched onto it right away. But basically the fortress theory is you're trying to create this brick fortress around your life, and every single decision you make is a chance to either add a brick or kick a brick off your wall. So adding a brick would be like eating a healthy meal instead of fast food, and or making sure you get your workout in. You're just adding that brick. And then if you do go out and have too many beers, you're just knocking a brick off your wall.
Right.
And so in the middle of like all our noon workouts as a staff now, you'll hear Chris just stomping around the gym, and he's just like, just laying those bricks, And it, like that simple concept is so helpful. It's like every single decision we make every single day in life is essentially boiled down to a +1 or -1. Like, are you drinking enough water? Like, are you eating the right things? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you having the right conversations? Are you engaged with your kids? Like, every single one of those moments is like a +1 or a -1. And at the end of 20 years, that adds up to a lot of different life trajectories.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's not just about the physical thing, right? It's spending time with your kids, investing in the family aspect, the work aspect, and like, how are you going to start in a deficit that day because of the decisions you made at the end of the day, to relax, which, people do and we need to do at times, but you need to know, like, I'm maybe starting a deficit, in my morning workout, or, if I didn't spend time with my family, like, I'm going to have to double that up maybe a little bit more because my kids notice, right? They're watching. They're like, hey, Dad didn't pay attention to me last night because he was still focused on work.
Yeah.
He didn't shut it off at 5 o'clock or whenever work ends and spend time with me, or the same thing goes like with my wife. Like, if I don't shut off work at 5 and engage in the kids, then she has to still engage in the kids. Yeah. Right. So now I'm impacting my wife, in her balance that she's working for. Right. And so it's not just me that I'm impacting by my poor choices or, bad decisions. It's your whole family. Right?
Consequences.
Yeah. That fortress, I would say, it goes not just around you, it goes around your whole unit, right? It does. Whatever your unit of influence is there. Like, and people notice it, and you're responsible, I think, to those types of things, and people are responsible to hold you accountable too in those areas, so that you continue to grow daily, right? You win the day, you might lose a day, but want more wins, you know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
You need more bricks.
You need more bricks.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's super helpful. So how did you wind up originally choosing your career and winding up at the Air Force Academy?
Yeah. So I always wanted to wrestle collegiately. And when I was in high school, I got this bright idea. I was like, man, I want to be a fighter pilot too. Like, this is something that'd be cool. Like, fly fighter planes. And I think the F-22 Raptor, the 5th generator fighter, was just coming out at that time. I was like, I'm going to fly one of those, and I'm going to go to the Air Force Academy. But when I was thinking about those things, my grades in high school weren't the best.
Yeah.
They were good, but they weren't the best. And like, to get in the Air Force Academy, you've got to be like a valedictorian, and then like, you know, your class president, captain of the football team. Like, those are the kind of kids that they're bringing into the Air Force Academy nowadays, because they can. Because the competition is so high. So I wasn't there. I was captain of the wrestling team, but like, my grades were like, I think a 3.3 or 3.0, somewhere in between there. And then my SAT and ACT scores were not good. I think I took the test 7 times, and my combined score between all 7 tests on the ACT was like a 20.
7 times?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. And that was between high school and the prep school. So I ended up putting in, so to get to the Air Force Academy, you have to do like interviews with your senators and representatives, things like that. I ended up being, I think, my senator's number 1 choice, but since my SAT and ACT scores were so low, they're like, we can't get you in. So like, sorry, apply next year, do better on your tests. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to take like some sort of gap year to do better, whatever, before I start college. And then right before basic training of the academy and the Air Force Academy prep school, I got an acceptance letter to the prep school, which is on the academy grounds. And I was like, I go to my dad, I was like, what is this? We never even heard about it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we're going to accept it. So I was like, all right, let's go. You know, you get to do the fighter pilot thing. And they had a wrestling team at the prep school, which I actually got to compete on. Some of the best friends I have in my life are the guys I wrestled with there. Got to go to nationals and compete there before I blew out my knee. But
and that's Air Force Academy prep?
That's Air Force Academy prep, yeah.
Got it.
So they have like nationals at NIAA level or something like that out in Pennsylvania. But so I got to that school, and during that school, they basically run you through your freshman year at the academy, but at the prep school. So you take all the same classes, you do all the same physical type stuff. You have a basic training. And then if you do well there, you reapply through your senators and representatives, and then they give you a recommendation to the academy.
Okay.
So I did well there, wrestled there, and then I got recommended to the academy. So it's almost like a 5th year for the academy, which it made freshman year at the academy a lot easier, because I'd already been through it, right? So going through basic again was like, oh, this is nothing, right? And then the freshman year academics weren't as tough. I think I got like a 3.3 my freshman year at the academy, and then it kind of went down every year since the freshman year. Because, I mean, the academics are tough. But ended up graduating from the academy and deciding around my junior year that I didn't necessarily want to be a pilot. I actually got a ride in an F-16 one of the summers over Italy, which was pretty sweet. But I wasn't sure I wanted to commit at that time, and didn't feel God calling me to be a pilot and do 10 years in the Air Force. And now I'm at 17 years in the Air Force.
Seemed like a long time back then.
Still doing it. It seemed like a really long time. And at that time, too, a lot of the guys that got selected for pilot training, which I was a pilot candidate, and I just turned it down, they went into heavies because of the war. So we needed tanker pilots and heavy pilots to bring stuff to and from the war. And then drones or UASs, unmanned aircraft systems, were like the Predator and the Reaper were coming up. So guys were either doing heavies or getting transitioned into, flying a joystick in a box.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't seem sexy or appealing to me. So I don't want to take my chances. But there's some guys that just want to be pilots.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to let those guys have that slot, because there's only a certain number of slots, and I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah.
Ended up getting into Intel and program management acquisitions instead, which was tons of fun, and really enjoyed that part of my early career in the Air Force.
And that Intel, was it mostly coming from the drones?
No. So my first Intel gig, I went to Intel school in Texas, which is where I started dating my wife, Sarah, at that time. She lived in San Antonio. She was the younger sister of a Academy grad brother. So that was a little hairy at first, but we're all on good terms now. And then Intel school was in Texas, and I got stationed in Hawaii. So I actually worked my Intel tour out in Hawaii, working for NSA Hawaii, and then the Air Operations Command, AOC, which is all on Hickam Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. And then I did a deployment to Iraq, working in, it was a couple different locations, but doing document and media exploitation. So basically, like, units would go out, rip the stuff off the bad guys, like piece of paper, cell phones, all that kind of stuff. We took that back and we exploited it and generated new missions off of it, right?
Gotcha.
So bad guys got contacts, bad guys got stuff on them. We took it and found the new bad guys to break down their networks and things like that. So it was a really cool deployment. Lots of get to see the fruits of your labor right away, doing good stuff.
And you're working with a lot of other military branches too then, huh?
Yeah, it was very joint. Like most of my career, even though I'm in the Air Force, I've been joint for more than half of it, which has been great. So I'm an Air Force officer, but really, I've worked with the Army and the Navy and the Marines almost just as much as I've worked with Air Force guys, where a lot of Air Force guys are just pure Air Force the whole time they've been in.
Yeah.
So I've had a pretty cool and dynamic career, I think, in a lot of cool locations. I feel very blessed to serve in that capacity.
Yeah. And then where did your career take you after that? So after that, the first Intel tour was really to get you smart on this is what the Air Force does. These are their weapon systems. This is kind of how we use them. So now you're going to go and buy them, right? So you have to be smart about, why we use a system. There's a lot of requirements that come in from the warfighter, and you say, hey, I need this widget, or I need this thing to do this better because it's not meeting the need in the field, or we need to do some research and development on this because we got guys dying or whatever it is. So our shop in acquisitions goes through all that process of getting the user's requirements, the warfighter's requirements out in the field, and then turning that into a capability or modernizing a capability. So the first thing that I worked on was at Hanscom Air Force Base in Boston, Massachusetts. So we went from Hawaii to Boston. Another great assignment. Boston's a cool town. Working on software acquisition. So I got to work in the digital realm, and we were doing stuff which affected what is called, it's kind of technical, but it's the air tasking order, which basically tasks all the aircraft and their missions wherever they're flying. So you got aircraft X, Y, and Z. It says what mission they're going on, what are their targets, all that kind of stuff. There's software that manages all that. Pretty complex, and we were modernizing that software because it was old. It was coded in the 90s, and we were still flying it in the 2000s and some of it today. So we're modernizing that software code to use in the Air Operations Center to plan and map out those missions so we can fly them. Yeah.
And deconflict everything that's going on in the battle space, which is extremely complex.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So I got to do that. And then after that, I got the itch to, Sarah and I, my wife and I, have always had a heart for Africa. And there's some jobs in the Air Force where you can almost be like a diplomat for the U.S. Air Force. They call it, and it's in the Army and the Navy have it too. It's called a Foreign Area Officer. A selective program. And I put in an application package for it and got selected to be a sub-Saharan African foreign affairs officer. And with that came some training. So we got to get stationed out in Monterey, California, which was another hardship tour. And I got to go to school to learn French at the Defense Language Institute. And then I got to do a tour out in Africa for about 7 to 8 months. Well, what was cool about that actually is the military, because you're going to be a diplomat, if they have seats open in the classroom, they'll actually train your wife and spouse how to speak the foreign language that you're going to. So Sarah got to go to Defense Language Institute with me and learn French. And we were in a class, of between our two classes, 30 military folks and a couple other spouses, and Sarah was in the class, and she was number one against all these guys. It was awesome to see because she just nailed it.
Yeah,
she's super talented with that kind of stuff. She has an ear for language, and she's awesome. She's
crushing it.
Way better.
Yeah.
It was a little tough at home because she was way better than I was at my own job.
Yeah,
so she shows up and she's just killing it. I was like, man. She should be doing my job. So she learned French really well, and while I was it's not a deployment, but touring Africa, learning what the embassies do, kind of learning like what the senior defense officials do and the security cooperation offices do out at the embassies in Africa and the different countries. She was in France actually teaching English and learning French for those 6 to 7 months because we didn't have any kids at that time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, you don't have to sit in Monterey if you don't want to. She's like, yeah, I want to go to France and use what I've learned. So
that is awesome.
She's come out and she speaks French fluently and she's great at it. I'm struggling to remember everything I learned. But it was cool. And so following the tour in Africa and her tour in France, we came back and I finished the degree in Sub-Saharan African Studies, Strategic Studies at Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey. So it was another master's degree, just learning about the cultures and what people, how the embassies work and international relations and all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. It was a lot of hard work, but it was a great time. And then they sent us, we were supposed to go to Congo. That was our follow-on from Naval Postgraduate School, but like a month before we were headed to the Congo, they turned off the orders and they said, you have to choose. You can either go to Northern Africa by yourself for a year or to Germany for a 3-year tour at AFRICOM.
And that's when you wound up in Germany.
And that's when we wound up in Germany because we had just had Manoa and he was 6 months old and I didn't want to be away from him for a year, his first year of life, and put that on Sarah. So we decided, hey, it's better. Let's go to Germany. Let's figure this out. Another hardship tour and hang out there.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's cool how the military's taking you all over the world.
Yeah. We've been very blessed with the locations.
Yeah. And so 17 years in now at the Air Force and you're going to push for the full 20 and then kind of see what happens after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're in Dayton, Ohio now. I'm a program manager for the MQ-9 Reaper, the unmanned aircraft system, which is a drone that's been doing the bulk of the work the last 20 years in the war overseas in the Middle East. It's got over 3 million flight hours on it.
Jeez.
It's a powerful tool. So it's been really cool being a part of that aircraft and modernizing it and keeping it flying and, making sure that it's, meeting the warfighters' needs out there. So I've been doing that for the last 3 years with the deployment to Jordan. That broke that up where I got to go work with the most elite task force in the world, the Special Operations Joint Task Force out of Jordan. So that was probably one of the coolest experiences I've had in my whole military career.
Man.
Feel blessed to been a part of that unit with those operators and those people.
And like the Reaper type technology just keeps getting better and better and better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We have to. We have to. So we have near peer competitors, strategic competition against Russia and China. And like they're working night and day to be better than us. So we have to be doing the same thing. And Reaper's just one of the systems, that we work on, but that has to be modernized for that fight as well. So that's what we've been working towards, is saying, we're moving away, or not necessarily away, but we're expanding its capability beyond what it's done, with the counter VEO fight, the counter violent extremist organization fight, terrorist fight, and more maybe
larger,
type, how do we use this asset in different areas?
Crazy.
So, yeah.
And that's happened fast.
It's happened across the whole military, right? With the national defense strategy changing. That's been the new focus for the military the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild just how fast, like, the unmanned technology has come into the scene as well.
Yeah.
In like a historical perspective, it's all still pretty new.
Yeah. Exponentially fast, and the stuff that we're putting on it now, it's exponentially, greater capability than what was on it the last 10 years. So it's pretty cool to see.
And probably super complex as well with like the tech, the cyber, the
talent pool the United States has, the smart guys, the engineers, not me, the manager. So just manage those guys, like the smart engineers, like that are doing the hard work, the beeps and squeaks, the nuggets of the coding.
Yeah.
We have national treasure. These guys are just phenomenal.
Wild.
Great minds.
Yeah, so smart.
Yeah.
So was your family a military family?
Not really. We had military in our family. Wisconsin's kind of like if you're in the military, you don't know anybody in the military. But my dad did serve 4 years in the Air Force. He was like a bomb loader, bomb tech on B-52s. So he did that for 4 years and got out. My uncle, his brother, was a B-52 pilot during Vietnam War. But I didn't really know him that well growing up because he was in the Air Force. So he's always gone. And then he resides in Texas now. So never knew him that well. I've come to have a relationship with him now because we have commonalities, both being Air Force officers and everything like that. So we'll talk and text here and there. And then my mom's brother, I didn't know this at the time, actually went to the Air Force Academy. And then he became an F-16 pilot, F-4 F-16 pilot for a few years before he got out and flew with the airlines.
That's pretty wild.
But I was applying for the Air Force Academy, telling my parents that's something I want to do and go do through the whole process. And all of a sudden my mom's like, oh, you know your uncle, he went to the Air Force Academy. I was like, no, I didn't. I had no clue. And I didn't know him growing up either, really, because he was in the Air Force and then he flew for the airlines, not out of Wisconsin or anything like that. So we've developed a great relationship since then as well, just with the commonalities being Academy grads and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I had a great uncle that was in like the Korean War Army side of things and stuff like that, but not like the lineage you see like a lot of guys you go to school with or I went to school with or see like, which is pretty typical for military families. Like dad did it, grandfather did it, grandfather's grandfather did it, and it's just somebody in the family has always come up, in the military way. And like, I can see that even with my boys. I mean, they show interest in it, whether they do it or not, it'll be up to them in the end. But like, I'd be proud of them if they did it, and joined up.
Is that, you think that'll be your approach with your boys and is like not push them, see what they're interested in and where life takes them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they get a little brainwashing because I'm an Academy fan and we watch Academy football or whatever, and they see the Air Force stuff all the time and they talk about, oh, daddy's doing this or that, he works on base, so it's in their common vocabulary every day. So, they'll be impacted or influenced by it, which may make it easier for them to make that choice. But I would never push them into like the academy or that lifestyle if it wasn't something that they felt called to. Now, if they were waffling on something, I'd be like, hey, this is a good choice. Like it took me from a place where, just standard, common, upbringing with great parents and, good family upbringing and gave me some direction out of that, right? Yeah. I had a little edge on me from wrestling. I went to some like pretty intense wrestling camps and stuff as a kid. That Jay Robinson, he was an Army Ranger and kind of built up that like resiliency. Like, hey, this maybe I want to do military type things. Like, from those experiences. But outside of that, like I never saw it. So I'd push them into it if they were waffling, maybe, and say, hey, you can go enlist, or you can maybe try to get into one of the academies or whatever,
see
whatever
where their passion takes them.
I definitely wouldn't send them to the Army though. They'd stick to the Air Force or and definitely not the Navy. So maybe they only have one option. They have one option. Maybe Navy if they wanted to go be SEALs. Like I met a lot of good SEALs. So I'd send them that way. So if you're joining the Navy, you're going to do it hard. You're going to do it the right way. So.
And when did your faith journey start?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's been a long journey. Like, I was saved at 14, but like, you get saved and God never says it's going to be easy, right? It's a challenge. So it's been an up and down journey and I've been learning along the way and, it ebbs and flows. There's been times where like, I can say I've been the biggest hypocrite, in the world. And then there's been times where like, I'm really in good relationship, with God. And one of those things was, even getting into the Air Force Academy, I remember, I haven't told this story in a long time. I remember I was sitting at my desktop computer in my house one night filling out the Air Force Academy application. I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do in life or whatever, but I was like, if you get me into the academy, I'm going to continue to serve you and everything. And, the minute that prep school came to my door and was mailed to me, that prep school acceptance letter, I heard his voice in my head. He was like, I'll take care of you.
Dang.
So
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool testimony. I get goosebumps from it right now because I haven't told that for a long time.
That's awesome.
So at the academy, I had the opportunity. We get not summers off, like 3 weeks off in the summer, and then a couple weeks for spring break a little bit. I did a couple mission trips actually while I was out at the academy. Got plugged into a good church out there, and Youth with a Mission. And we went to Morocco one year, and then we actually went down to Thailand for the tsunami support when Thailand had the huge tsunami.
Yeah.
We did cleanup and ministry out there, just helping people get back on their feet, after that huge natural disaster.
That's awesome.
So the academy was great, and majority of my friends that I built great relationships from the academy came out of like, hey, we all have this common relationship with Christ, and we all see things from the same level, and we're all building each other up. So, and I still in constant communication with my core group of friends every day.
From the academy?
From the academy, yeah.
It builds some strong bonds,
yeah,
huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's awesome how the military connects those really strong communities of people that are very service oriented. Like life has a mission and a purpose, and a lot of like servanthood behind it.
Right. Yeah. And it's really easy to find your why too, right? Because the military gives it to you, like, peace and security, global peace and security. This is really important.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't just care about the United States. Like, we care about other people's security too, and we're helping them all the time, right? We want this balance. And then, that service mentality is like, well, I'm in the military here serving this way, but we can also serve, the hands and feet, be the hands and feet for other people, like just helping them out on the ground when they're going through hard times. Africa being in that one place, or Thailand, or the other places we've been. It's been pretty cool. Yeah,
the amount of support and help I think like America provides globally is pretty amazing in terms of like all the resources, time, and all the good we're trying to do. And it's kind of at such a massive scale, it's probably hard for a lot of us to comprehend how much is going on.
Yep. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So if you don't continue like into 25, 30 years with the Air Force, what do you think you guys will do? Yeah.
So my wife and I, during the deployment, we started talking about this, right? And we haven't made any decisions yet. We're just waiting to hear from God on all of it, because our heart's always been stirred for Africa, and we still have a heart for Africa. And then, we still have a heart for serving in the military as well, right? In the past, I used to be motivated by rank and doing that kind of thing. I'm not motivated by that anymore. I'm more motivated by like how I can help the organization get better, how I can, and more importantly, the people improve, in their lives and what they're going through, right? Because if they're running like a fine-tuned machine, like the Air Force is going to be doing better for it. So my focus has totally shifted from like trying to cultivate success in my own life to being outwardly focused towards others and cultivating an environment where, people feel comfortable and making an impact, and they can see what good life balance looks like, and whether or not like I'm a part of their journey. I'd love to be, but just leading by example in what I'm doing. So that's kind of where my focus is at in the military now. So if God wants me to continue to serve there in that capacity, we'll serve until whatever rank He wants us to, right? And if my family feels that's the right balance that we need, then we'll do it. The deployment was tough. I believe we thrived through it, but like being away from my sons was like for 7 months, and then with some training on the front end of that was like, it's tough, right? And like just seeing my boys have to go through that too. So young and everything like that. They most likely won't remember a lot of it, but like, so that's a blessing. But at the same time, like even for me, it was hard just being away, seeing like those years of their life, as they're growing. So that's in our calculus. And then my wife gets a choice, right? She it's her turn to choose. So if at 20, she's like, hey, Scott, I'm done with this. I'm feeling we're called a different way. This is where we should go. And recently she's been talking about wanting to have a ranch and do some yak ranching or something like that. So we're looking for places that, that might be good thing to spend, our retirement on, and communities to plug into. Because we just don't want it to be, if we're doing a yak ranch and doing all that, we just don't want it to be a yak ranch. We want to actually be the community supported. And then I've always had like a goal to have some sort of like leadership kind of excursion type thing at the ranch where like you can get some up and comers, people that maybe want to join the military or go to the academies or whatever, teenage boys and girls and just like bring them out to the ranch and like show them what that's all about, show them, you know, what leadership looks like, and just give them some life skills, and then bring in some guys too, right?
Yeah.
To show them like, hey, this dude's done this completely different, maybe military, maybe not, you know, just give them that experience at a young age, something I didn't really have a lot of.
That'd be
I think
awesome.
would have been super beneficial to me, just to get my head right earlier, right? Like it took a while and a lot of thought and a lot of quiet time to like figure out kind of what's God have for me here, right? And like I said, a lot of it was driven initially by ego. What can I do?
What can I get? Yeah.
What, you know, can I be this? When's my name going to be heard? You know, like how do I get to that point where people are like, oh, that's Scott Gross or whatever. Like, and for a long time, I think I was lost in that, you know. And then with influencers coming out and all that kind of stuff, like, it's just a huge distraction. I think a lot of kids now are being, you know, so influenced by that stuff, and there's just a lot of garbage out there that really can negatively impact them, right?
Oh yeah, it's creating this like, massive spike in anxiety too.
Yeah, and because their focus is on ego, right? All those, for the most part, a lot of the influencers are like, how am I going to get more rich, and how am I going to do this? You know, they want to have their community, but what's the community for? To build up them and who
more
they are.
Likes.
Yeah, more likes and who they are, and it's unfortunate. So that's why, like, I think it's important and that's why I kind of shifted my mindset over the last couple of years to just, how do I cultivate that environment? And I don't need to be known for the environment that I'm cultivating, right? Like a gardener plants plants. The plants don't know who the gardener is, but they grow and they produce seeds, and they grow and they produce seeds, right? And I may not even know what seeds are being produced down the line, but God knows. And like, I'm creating that environment, and that's, you know, at the end of the day, when God calls me home and he's like, hey, you know, well done. Like, I'll be like, for what? Maybe I won't even know, right? But at least he'll be like, because, you know, you had this environment around you, you know, people you talked to, who you impacted, that all, you know, paid its way forward, you know, and I'll be like, awesome. Like, great. Like that's what it'd be cool to be known for, right? Not like God knew who I was, right? Yeah. Not like what Joe Schmo down the street was like, oh yeah, I knew that guy because of this. And then after he dies, like 3 years later, 4 years later, who was he? Who was that guy? I mean, we forget presidents' names. It's like, we don't even know
everyone's names.
Name
forgotten.
All the presidents. Yeah, everybody's forgotten. So whose name, you know, who do you want to remember your name, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's God, right?
Yeah.
I want God to be proud of like the work that, you know, he was able to do through me here.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It takes a while, I think, and just some life maturity to really figure that out. But like the older I get and the more life experience I get, the more obvious that is. Like, there's no historical figure that's done a lot of great things that their name is truly remembered.
Right.
A lot of times it's forgotten like a year or days after their death.
Yep.
And you think about like,
I mean, some of the most influential people that changed the course of history, people don't know their names.
Yeah.
They don't know their names. It was like, and you read about them in books or things like that, and you're like, oh, I never knew that guy did that. And all of a sudden you hear about them, and it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know, then it's gone, right? And what's on to the next name or next influencer or whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, once you have that, I think, realization of like, your name, like your legacy, you know, it's cool. Like, you can leave a legacy in different ways in different areas, but if you're doing it for your ego, like, once you're gone, you're gone. Like, you're not going to realize that, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, and people get to a certain point in their life, and then they realize they worked for that their whole life, and they've lost out on family potentially.
There's
or
no legacy.
Relationships, you know, that they were going to leave. The closest family, you know, may not, which is most important to people, right? For the most part, like, don't even know who they are because they were workaholics. Yeah. Or whatever, right?
Yeah. So, it's something we all have to watch out for.
Yeah. But I like that, you know, Mountain Tough in my mind, like, when I was first drawn to it, was that foundation, right? Thinking like Ara was talking about in some of his initial stuff. I was like, man, this is really cool. They're not just doing weightlifting, you know, physical fitness stuff. They're doing like full life balance stuff that includes spirituality, that includes mental resiliency, mental toughness, that includes family, right? And balance and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, not working about getting the most jacked and like having 8-pack abs. Like, that stuff's not important.
Yeah.
The stuff that's important is feeling physically healthy, and being confident in that, and then using that health to just pay dividends across the rest of the areas of your life.
Yeah.
And like that was one of the things after, getting into it and seeing what 30-30 was all about, and then finding out like the programming is also phenomenal. Like that kept me with Mountain Tough.
That's
right?
awesome.
That part of the community, and saying, yeah, these guys, they're not ashamed of like those types of things, and they're focused on things that are more real and more present, and that'll actually make a difference in your life, not just like getting strong and being like, look how strong I am, I work out, that kind of mentality that could lead you down a dark hole, into that ego hole. And like, it's just like, you can't come out of it, right? Because then every time you leave the gym, you're looking at yourself. And you're like, there's no problem with like seeing gains, right? And saying, hey, I've done good work, and reaping that reward, right? Of losing weight or whatever your goal is. Yeah. But like having that drive you, it's not the way to go, right? It's like, what should drive you is like being comfortable, like wanting to be more uncomfortable than comfortable, right? Yeah. And staying in that mindset and be like, these are the challenges that are actually making me grow, rather than backslide,
Yeah, I think if you like really boiled it down, it's like the goal is to be like a better tool for God's kingdom. And to do that, you have to be healthy, and you have to be mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, nutritionally in a better spot, or being the best you can be in those areas to do the most amount of positive work in it, like with our short term here on earth. And that's always been like Mountain Tough's very like original founding ethos. And we used to describe it as like, we're really comfortable with a really positive bait and switch. And so the bait and switch was like, we know that someone will sign up for Mountain Tough because they're going to go on their first Colorado elk hunt this year. And they're signing up for Mountain Tough because they think they're getting in shape for that hunt. But our goal with them signing up for Mountain Tough is to help them become like a better father, mother, employee, friend, boss, coworker, and to help them spiritually, mentally, way more than physically. And I think that they all feed off each other too. You're not going to be successful in living an abundant life if you're just strong physically. Right. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, like I want God to use me. I got to be a warrior, right? Yeah. And I've got to be a balanced warrior. He's not just going to put the strongest guy out there on the field. He wants to put somebody that can think, right? He wants to put somebody that has wisdom. Like I was talking about this, like we have a family crest. My boys call it the family shield. Yeah. That's really the foundation of our family. And it's on the crest, it says WRB, and then it has a cross at the bottom of it. And on the top, it says nobly ventured integrity service. And what WRB stands for is wise, rugged, and brave. So, and my boys, like, they love it. And so we talk about what it means to be wise, what it means to be rugged, and what it means to be brave as our foundation, and what it means to be nobly ventured. Because Isaiah 32:8 says, a noble man plans noble things, and on noble things he stands, right? And I think wise, rugged, and brave characteristics is what makes up somebody that's noble, somebody that's honorable, lives an honorable life, including the integrity aspect. But, the Bible talks about wisdom, right? All Proverbs says seek wisdom, right? Over anything else, over strength. All else, over strength. You want to be wise, right? And then ruggedness, God, he calls the mountains rugged, and he calls the mountains majestic. Like everybody looks at mountains as rugged and majestic. We have this appreciation for that, right? So do something that's rugged every day. Be like that mountain, right? And then be brave, right? Courageous, be strong and courageous, right? All throughout the Bible he talks about this. And so I try to, these are the things like, so that shield is like right by my boys' door in their bedroom. And then we actually have a couple flags too that have it on there.
That's sweet.
And they're like, hey, that's our shield. And then they say, it's a WRB, wise, rugged, brave. And
then so awesome.
Christ died for us. And that's what they say, when they look at, the cross. And it really is, it's our shield. Like it protects us from like all the things that are being thrown at us, and I hope it protects them, throughout their life, or all the things that are going to be thrown their way, all the challenges and stuff, that they have that foundation in their hearts and in their minds that I can defeat this. I can be resilient. It's written on my heart, right?
Yeah.
You know, I want to be a leader and a warrior for God, you know, and like I do my best, you know, like, what's the Psalm, like Psalm 144, train my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Like just really do that and like build up my sons to be able to, you know, don't have to be like these macho Navy SEAL warriors, you know, in life, but like to battle life and to get through life's challenges. Like you do need to be a warrior, especially nowadays.
With like, lots of wisdom. Yeah.
With lots of wisdom, right? Seeking it first. So
is it a real shield? Like a metal shield?
No, that'd be cool to do someday, put it on a shield. No, it's just,
awesome.
It's just like, you know how like Britain used to have all the old family crests and things like that with their names on it. So that it's just a shield that I designed. It looks like a shield with those characteristics on it. Yeah. And so they see it before they go to bed. And when they go to bed, we do a family prayer. And then after the prayer, we say, we're wise, rugged, and brave. And we work hard. We never give up. We're strong and smart. And God has a plan for us.
That's awesome.
And Jesus loves us. And we are leaders. And they haven't memorized. So some nights I go up there and they say it real fast because they want to get through it or whatever. But they've memorized it. Even my 2-year-old knows all of it.
That is
awesome. He'll say it. Rose like, yeah. It's the cutest thing to hear him saying it. So it's a lot of fun. But it's good. I mean, it's just good values that, you know, hopefully like they have instilled within them when they finally realize what that stuff means, right?
Yeah.
Right now they have some concept, right, of it. They're 5, 4, and 2. So, you know, but it's just stuff like you're saying. They see you work out. They say these different things like, just good values for them to have that'll help.
Strong foundation.
Yeah, a foundation or cornerstone for like their lives that they hopefully will look back on and be like, I remember doing this with my dad every night, you know. Even when I've been out here, I called him. Ro was on the other line. He goes, "We're wise, rugged, and brave." You know, it's like, yeah. I was like, we didn't even prompt it. He was just wanting to say it, you know, because he knows it's like part of our relationship.
Dang.
You know, so it's really cool to see how that's been impacting them and just having our family rally around it. And then when we go through hard times and we make poor choices or bad decisions, we look back and say, are we doing these things? Are we doing wise things every day, rugged things every day, getting to the gym? Or for my sons, like what's bravery? You know, maybe trying to learn how to ride his bike without training wheels.
Try something new.
Trying something new, right? Where they might be scared to do it, but hey, this is bravery. Teach that as a lesson, right? Or what wisdom? Like, did you lie or something in school? Like, we don't lie, steal, or cheat. The boys know that one too. That's like an academy thing that we had to memorize. Don't lie, steal, or cheat, or tolerate anyone among us who do. They know that. And like, did you lie? Yes, Dad. You know, was that a wise thing to do? Right? You know, and just use those as teaching lessons, you know, every time and just bring it back to what our foundation is. So they're thinking about it in the next decision that they make, right? Or the next hard time they have when they fall down, right? You know?
Yeah, like later in life, that's going to be so amazing. Just when like a big adversity comes their way, to fall back
that's
on
what
that.
I hope and pray for. I hope it's written on their hearts. You know, they can use it.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so with your career and your world travels through your career, you personally haven't had a ton of time to do a lot of hunting or get into a lot of hunting.
Right.
We're going to head out for a Montana black bear hunt this afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, so I'm excited about it. I saw some of your videos, you know, of you hunting down some pretty steep passes on the way out there. I was like, Sarah, this is what I'm going to do. She's like, no, you're not. and she's all about it. Like she's super supportive of me getting out there because she knows like my soul needs that nature and things. So she's been nothing but supportive getting me out there and doing that. But yeah, you're right. Like we haven't had a ton of time to hunt. Like in Germany, to get your hunting license takes like 2 years and you're knighted at the end of it and everything like that. So it's a huge investment. I did get to do some hunting in California and Monterey when I was out there. I made friends with a retired Chip, California Highway Patrolman, who's just, all he had was hunting time, and he wanted to share it. So like once a month at least we'd go out hunting. We went deer hunting, warthog pig hunting, and duck hunting and pheasant hunting, and he just took me along. Awesome. You know, taught me the ropes. You know, his favorite spots and everything like that. And then I've done over the last few years since we've been back in the States, I've hunted with my best friend from high school and his father, deer hunting and turkey hunting in Wisconsin. So that's been good. I've been able to get out there and do it. In Massachusetts, I started bow hunting a little bit for deer, but and I did some shotgun out there. Their hunting regulations are a little stricter.
Yeah.
I actually got caught one Sunday hunting.
No,
you're not supposed to hunt on Sunday. It's like an old colonial rule.
Oh man.
And I was out there. I didn't shoot anything, and the DNR pulled up on me, and they're like, "What are you doing?"
It's Sunday.
Somebody had called, because hunting's not like an accepted thing out there as much. And so somebody had called because I was on public land, and somebody was like, "Someone's out here hunting. I'm trying to run on the trail. I saw this guy back in the woods," and they're like, "Man, you're lucky you didn't go kill anything or anything like that." I was like, "Because it's a big fine." And I was like, I had no clue. Like, I had no clue. The rules and stuff were like buried.
Yeah.
That you couldn't hunt on Sundays.
In Massachusetts?
I think they've since then turned over the rule, or they were in between turning the rule. Like, it had been approved that you could hunt on Sundays, but it hadn't actually pushed it through the system to implement it yet. So it was like in this weird limbo stage where they were like, "Okay, we get it. We're not going to send you to jail for 2 years for sitting out in the woods." But yeah, so I've dabbled, I guess I can say, in hunting. It's always been something my heart to do. Is just haven't had any real solid time to do it. I've gotten more into fly fishing because it's been a little bit easier to do. But still difficult with the boys to get out there since they're not swimmers yet, and trying to engage with that. But we've gone out a couple times and done it, and it's been fun.
That's awesome.
So for me, it's more of a life sport, right? Like I'm starting it now, even with fly fishing and stuff. Like, little by little, I think I'm just gonna get better, learn more and more, and that's what I'm hoping on this hunt. Like, just to learn a lot from you guys, since you guys are like the experts out here in Montana, and just get back up into the mountains. It's gonna be phenomenal.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Montana spring bear is really cool, just because bears are so fun to watch, and they're a unique animal. Bears just kind of do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they'll be like flipping over logs, or like they'll just take like a nap in the middle of a field sometimes. And they do really weird stuff because they're a predator compared to like a deer or an elk. They're not on alert all the time. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of wandering around doing their thing. So it'll be a really fun hunt. I love spring bear hunting just to watch bears. Mm-hmm. Like, in the springtime gives you like a whole nother hunting season, because then you don't have to wait for fall. Yeah. And then it's generally way less busy. There's not a lot of hunters that do the spring bear. So just to get out there, get into the high country and watch them is a blast.
Yeah. I was a little apprehensive when Weston was like, "Hey, we're going to take you bear hunting." I was like, "All right, let's do this. Let's do this." I've been doing mountain tough. I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. Yeah, I can do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Cool. I'm so glad you made it out, Scott. It's pretty surreal, pretty awesome that like you went through the testimonial process and won it. And I think it's like God puts everything together for a reason, and it's cool that you're out here.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys blessing me and my family so much. It's been awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll go pack up our gear.
Yeah.
Head out. Do it. Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.